crafts. So I did finger weaving with yarn. I would make knot making bracelets. I would color all sorts of things. I used to make purses out of paper. I don't know, I was always making stuff and coloring books. And I don't know, I was always like doing some kind of arts and crafts somewhere in a corner. So lots and lots of that.
So do I.
Do you do that too?
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to make?
Lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff.
We don't have a favorite thing.
Oh, okay. I got it. Well, I'm glad you like to make arts and crafts too.
Thank you.
Hi there, thanks for coming today. What do you think you expect to work with Colin in the future, and if so, what sort of projects are you want to do?
Yeah, I'm very confident that we'll work together again. You know, whenever you work with someone that you see eye to eye with and get along with so well, I think that there usually seems to be like a long journey of creative adventures together. So I'd love to direct him in something. I don't know what, but I'd love to direct him in something.
Hi, my name's Elaine. Speaking of Once Upon How I Met Your Mother, I really loved you in House, and I want to know what your favorite other projects are outside of Once that you worked on.
Thanks. I mean, I'm so happy you also liked that show. I was also very much a fan of working on House. I felt like it was a show that changed my life, and I learned so much working on that show, and I loved that character. I also really loved working on the film Warrior. I felt like that was a project that I will always be very proud of. I really enjoyed working on the film Some Girls, which is another project that I'm very proud of. And it's not out yet, but I have finally seen little bits and pieces of it because I did ADR for it. But I'm very pleased with how Backroads has come together, so I'm very excited. Very excited to see the whole film and to have that put in the world as well.
Hi, Jen. From an actor's perspective, watching episodes back, which scene are you most proud of your acting performance?
I'm honestly, I stopped watching the show somewhere in season 2 just because I started to feel like I was just too close to it. I do a lot better watching things when I have some distance. And I really just haven't had a point to be able to kind of go back and really properly catch up. I mean, I've seen bits and pieces of things here and there, but I haven't really had that kind of like sit down to like watch it collectively, which is why sometimes you guys know things better than I do because you know what got cut out and what stayed, whereas like I only know what we shot. So I sort of owe myself that time to kind of binge watch the whole thing and sort of see it from start to finish. But I think, you know, maybe in the next year or two I'll be in a place where I can sort of have enough space to kind of sit down and look at it a little bit more objectively.
Season 1 that you liked?
Oh God, I feel like it was so long ago. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's hard to have perspective on your own work, I think. You know, I feel like I know I always showed up and I did my best. And I know I always looked to try to be better and I looked to try to make Emma as full of a person as possible and to continue to grow, not just as Emma, but as an actor. So like, I know I tried my best, but that's kind of all I can really have perspective on.
Hi, I just want to say you're amazing and an inspiration to us all. And then, if you were a superhero, what would your power be? What would your name be? And then, if you and Colin were a team, what would your team name be?
Word. So much stress. My superpower, if I could have it, would for sure be to heal people. That's the only superpower that I could ever imagine really serving the world, for real. I don't know what my name would be. What would you name someone who can heal people? I don't know. I've already done that. That's why I checked off the list. I don't know. What? Healer. That's, yeah, I mean, it's not,
Straightforward.
I'm trying to think of things like Batman and all that stuff. It's like, where do those names come from? I don't know. You do such a good job of naming things. I'm terrible. You guys really like me to name things. I'm really bad at it. Yeah, I don't know. Something about the healers. Healing healers. We can heal together. Heal the world one healing at a time. Just keep saying heal. That's all I got. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Julie, and I wanted to tell you you look beautiful with red hair, and thank you for being such a strong female role model for all of us. And my question. And my question is, if Emma didn't end up with Hook on the show, who else would she would have ended up with?
Oh God. I mean, there's many different reiterations that could have been possible. You know, obviously her first love was Neil. She obviously had very strong feelings also for Graham when he was around. And, you know, obviously people have always seen a really strong connection between Emma and Regina as well. So that's, you know, there are a million different options of, not a million different options, but there are several different options of people that I think Emma had, you know, true loving feelings for. They may not have been, you know, true love the way they wrote Emma and Hope to be, but she definitely had very strong love for all of those characters.
Hi Jen, I just wanted to say thank you for coming out today, and I'm really upset that you left the show, but I know you're going on to directing, and I'm really excited to look forward to what you're directing, and I was wondering, would you ever direct an episode of Once Upon a Time?
I don't know. This is a tricky answer because people will probably take it the wrong way. The answer is probably not, but not because I wouldn't want to or not because I would love to, but just because there's all sorts of things in place as to why certain people direct certain things, and they have a system of directors already in place that there's like a bit of like politics and hierarchy, and it has to do with who's done network shows before. You know, there's sort of all these things that go into that. It's not just so simple as saying like, I want to, so I will, you know. And also because I've spent a lot of years working on television as an actor, and part of what I'm enjoying about directing right now is that, you know, I'm in a position to really try to shape and make the things that I believe in from my own perspective. And when you're directing television, you're really telling someone else's perspective. So I'm just not in the headspace right now where I'm pursuing directing television. But I'm sure at some point that will make sense in my life. It's just right now, as I'm kind of getting my footing as a filmmaker, I'm focused more on trying to make my own projects.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Melly and I'm from Germany. At first I wanted to say that you're a very inspirational woman, and I could listen to you talk about books for hours. And so I wanted to ask, have you ever thought about writing your own book? And if so, what kind of book would it be?
Yeah, I guess I do sort of dream of writing. I dream of writing a novel. I love fiction so much that I think that that's what I would lean into if I were to ever be in a place where I had the focus and ability to actually follow through with that. I definitely want to start writing my own work as a director, so I'm going to start setting aside time to kind of go away and really focus on, I have an idea for a script, so I'm going to sort of specifically focus on that for now. But who knows, you know, I mean, the future holds many possibilities, so you never know.
Hi, I was wondering if you related to Emma's character at all, and if not, how did you get into that character, I guess, mindset? And then also another question, how early on did you, or did the writers tell you that you and Hook were gonna, or Emma and Hook were gonna be, I don't know, true love? True love?
I feel like, I'm trying to remember, I don't remember the exact moment that they specified that. I feel pretty clear by the end of season 3 that that was the track that we were on from a writing perspective. And obviously that's a tricky thing because we would never be allowed to talk about it expressly, because it was like, you know, you want to keep people guessing and keep people coming back to watch the show. And so there's certain things that they'd sort of, even though we kind of knew that the show was working in that direction, it wasn't something that we were free to just say like, oh yeah, no, we're not True Love. So I feel like it was around the end of season 3 that we were aware that that was in the cards for the journey for Emma and Hook. And then in terms of relating to Emma, there's certain things I relate very deeply to, and there's certain things that are completely foreign to me that I sort of found ways to work my way into. You know, I grew up in a very stable home. My parents are still together. You know, we, like any family, have our normal stuff, but it's pretty straightforward, whereas Emma was abandoned and didn't have a family and went through kind of a horrible version of the foster system and had a really tough childhood in a way that I didn't. So I read tons and tons of memoirs written by people who had gone through some tough situations in the foster program, foster system, and tried to build her memories from those memoirs, so that there were really specific things that were her trigger points, or the things that caused her walls to go up or caused her to sort of shut down in certain ways. So that was hugely helpful for me to get into the parts of her that didn't relate to my life. But then I also, even though I did have a really stable childhood, I was sort of an outsider in certain ways. I was an odd kid. I was picked on for some really weird reasons and didn't really know how to stand up for myself. So I was able to kind of draw from some of my own feeling like an outsider for a long time, and put that into Emma and help that be part of why her walls went up as well. And I think that, you know, going through the show and some of the things that Emma went through were things that forced me to think through some stuff in my own life. You know, I think I grew as a person playing her, for sure.
Thank you very much.
Woo!
I was just wondering, what's your favourite moment been between Emma, Henry, and Regina across the whole series?
There are a lot of good moments with the three of them. Trying to think. I feel like when they got back from the mirror world, there was a really nice sort of family feeling moment of, you know, what he had to do to try to help them, and then what they tried to do to get back to him. I'm trying to think. It's funny. I remember that moment where I think it was season 1, where Henry gets stuck in the mine, and Emma's so relieved that she's been able to help get him out. And it was a very tricky moment because there was still so much tension between Regina and Emma, where it was like this moment of feeling like there was like some teamwork to save this child, and then immediately feeling the frustration of like, oh, we haven't really come that far. We're still sort of frenemies. So I liked the complexity of that. I liked that their friendship grew from there, and they started to trust each other to both parent Henry.
Hi, Jennifer. This summer I was fortunate enough to see the screening of Sun Dogs at LA Film Festival, and I just want to tell you it was great. I loved it. And in your current kind of non-acting trajectory, would you think about writing your own screenplay or something along those lines?
Yeah, well, that was actually part of what I was just talking about with writing. I'm definitely sort of in the plan in the next 6 months to sort of go away for probably about a month and just work on a script that I've had an idea for. So I want to definitely spend some time really focusing on that, seeing if I can bring the next script to fruition so that I can write the next thing that I direct as a feature. And I'm definitely still going to act. I'm not like on a non-acting trajectory, as you put it, which I love that phrase. It's just shifting my focus a little bit. You know, obviously directing takes a tremendous amount of time and focus, and it doesn't end when you leave set. It sort of just begins when you leave set. But as much as I love that, and as much as that is definitely something I'm focusing on right now to continue growing as a filmmaker, I will always continue to act. I just will be doing things that are probably in shorter spans of time, not, 10 months out of the year, but hopefully like 3 months out of the year, something like that.
Thank you.
So I have two questions. The first one is, if you learn from this movie, like which one
I can't quite hear you, I'm sorry. It was, who came this way?
if you had to choose one villain that would come to Storybrooke, which villain might be? And also, what was your favorite blooper with Drop Hook?
I don't know if I can remember a specific blooper, I just know that pretty much all of it cracked me up. Mostly just because Colin loves it so much. It brings him so much joy that it's hard not to enjoy him being so joyful. And in terms of a villain, it's not my problem anymore, so whoever wants to show up, someone else will fight that battle. I don't know, I'm trying to think of villains that we haven't had yet. I'm trying to think of, who's that? Darth Vader, what a good one, yeah. Star Wars needs to come to Storybrooke. That'd be fun. We'll go with that.
Hi, so I just have a quick question. As a kid, I was like more G.I. Joe than for like princess. So Emma's like this awesome princess. I'm like, hey, it's someone like me. So what was it like kind of putting together this unconventional princess who's still fairy tale, but not really this really, she's kind of, I don't want to say that word, but she's awesome. Like
She's a little bit of both. She's like a little bit of G.I. Joe and a little bit of Cinderella, like she's a little bit of both. It was really fun. I think that, a lot of her upbringing informed her toughness in a certain way. I felt like there was a really natural evolution to her ability to survive and to stand up for herself and find her way in the world very, very much alone. And there's something really inspiring about that, but then there's also the damaged side of that, which is someone who has trouble loving and letting people in. So, but oftentimes someone who's having trouble loving and letting people in was initially someone who was so tender and so vulnerable that they had to put their walls up that intensely in order to survive. So I always tried to keep in mind both of those pieces, knowing that if ever her armor was chipped away at, that the vulnerability would be really immense. And so I think that's where that little bit of both comes, is that a lot of her toughness is innately in her, and her strength is innately in her, but a lot of it comes from the situations she had to survive in her life. And then when she does feel that she's safe enough to be vulnerable and open up in certain ways, then you get this really sort of, vulnerable, soft, emotional side of someone. And it was fun to constantly be searching for that balance. Fun to kind of find both. Whenever I felt stuck with her and wasn't sure what to do, I'd be like, what would a 14-year-old boy do? It was sort of my litmus test for most of Emma's decisions until her guard came down.
Thank you.
Hi, Jenny. You once said that you believe that success doesn't change people. It only shows or reveals who you really are. What good thing do you think success has revealed to you about yourself?
Gosh, I hope that it's revealed that I'm the same person before and after having sort of succeeded according to the terms that the world has applied to the idea of success. I like to think that I'm the same person with you guys as I am with my family, as I am with my friends, as I am with someone I'm in conflict with. I try to be a very even person, and I don't ever want to lose touch with who my parents raised me to be and the kid that I've always been. It's a weird thing when a lot of attention is put on the things that you say or what you do, and sometimes people get kind of carried away with that or maybe take it too seriously, and I hope that I'm able to keep that in balance and in perspective and just be a person.
I was 13 years old, and you've always sort of been that light at the end of the tunnel for me. And so I was wondering, whenever you doubted yourself or felt like giving up, what is the one thought that kept you going and working towards where you are today?
I don't know that it was ever one particular thought. I think I held on to different things in different moments. I always try, when I'm faced with difficult decisions, I always try to think of what decision I can make and still feel good about myself. You know, especially in this business, I think we're put in positions where we're asked to compromise our values, and some people are comfortable with that, some people aren't. And there are certain things that can be very tempting or seem like the right thing to do for the wrong reasons or whatever, or the wrong thing to do for the right reasons, however you would put that. And I just always try to step back and think, what decision can I make and still feel good about myself? And I think it's really tough to do that sometimes, and I've been lucky because I've had amazing people around me, and I've said this before, but I think it's really true. You have to be so careful of the people that you surround yourself with, because how they think and how they make decisions is going to influence how you think and how you make decisions. And so I think one of the most important things in life is to discern the people that you have close. So that would be the truth of sort of how I've handled situations, you know, growing up and as I've kind of, I don't know, matured in this business. But I recently read an article that Amy Adams was interviewed in, and she talked about how when she was young in her career, her manager looked at her and said, "You get to choose who you are." And I thought, man, I wish someone had said that to me when I was young in my career, because there's something so empowering about that. And I don't think that that just applies to the business. I think that applies to everyone. And we forget that. I think that it's very easy to forget. We start to get wrapped up in what other people think, or what our parents want, or what our teachers want, or what our bosses want, or what someone is making us feel like we have to do. And oftentimes the bullies get their way because they just know how to keep pushing until people who don't want to be bullies fold. And they learn that power for whatever reason early on, and then they wield it in a way that can be very effective. And so if you're someone who wants to stand up to that, and you want to sustain your sense of integrity, I think you have to always remember you get to choose who you are. I think that's a really, really powerful thing.
Thank you so much. I love you.
First of all, I live in Colorado, and my neighborhood is called the Enchanted Forest.
No way.
And second, how do you feel about the scene where they're in the underworld and Emma has to choose between her heart and Hook, and she chooses Hook?
Yeah, I loved that scene. I thought that that scene showed a tremendous amount of growth for Emma, for all the walls that she had up and all the things that she'd gone through and all the sort of fear that she had about loving. The fact that her instinct in that moment was to love, I thought was real growth for her, and I really enjoyed the fact that she was able to kind of cross into that place in her life in a very natural and instinctive way. I love you too.
Is there any scene that you kind of regret the way you did, and if you could do it differently, like what would you do?
I wish I had better answers for these. I'm so sorry. Because I don't go back and watch it, I don't really know. I can really only go off of hoping that I've done the best I can do in the moment. You know, what I can tell you, and I can promise everyone, is that I always gave 1,000% every day, and I thought through and rethought through and did the homework and the research and the breaking down of the script and the considering every option, and you know, I went the distance for every scene. You know, you're not really allowed to have a bad day when you're on a television show, because what ends up on camera is for forever. It doesn't go away, and no one's going to be like, oh, I thought that she was probably tired that day. So there's no room to sort of fall back on that. So what I can promise is that I've always tried my best, and I've always given all that I have to give in those decisions. I can't say that I definitely always made the right choices, or that I did, you know, what everyone thinks is right, but I can tell you that I went the distance as far as I knew how to in every moment.
Would it be 3 times for a hug?
What? Oh, you want a hug? Oh, jeez. I just afraid this is going to start a trend.
Yes.
Just trying to be fair. I'm so sorry.
So, hi, Jen. Well, I actually had the opportunity to see Sundogs last week in Austin, which I loved. So now that it's premiering internationally in Los Cabos Film Festival, what would you say is next for Sundogs internationally?
I know exactly what's next. I'm not allowed to talk about it. So stay tuned. In about a week when I'm at the Cabo Film Festival, you will know exactly how to see Sundogs.
Hi Jennifer, so I'm currently studying entertainment law and interning at a talent agency, and I was just curious, when you chose your own team, was there any characteristics you were looking for?
Yeah, teams are tricky. And, you know, sometimes people stay with teams for long periods of time. Sometimes people shift around quite a bit. People make decisions for different reasons. You know, I certainly look at their roster, whether it's an agent or a manager or a lawyer, and I look at clients that they represent, and I take into consideration if I respect and admire the careers that they've guided so far. And that's a big part of, you know, just being intrigued by someone and thinking, you know, they had the ability to help someone who I respect make good decisions. Hopefully they have that ability to help me. And then also just like the instinct of if you connect with someone or not. You know, it really is a very personal relationship, all of those relationships. And you need to want to spend time with those people, and you need to trust their taste and their opinions, and trust that to a certain degree they have your best interest at hand. So you have to kind of go with your gut as well. So it's a little bit of, you know, assessing what their previous work has been mixed with your gut feeling is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
My heart's beating really fast. So my question is about your directing and acting career. I just want to know how you got into it and what challenges you had to go.
Wait, are we leaving after this?
I for some reason, hey guys.
Subtle.
Super subtle.
I forgot about
We
that.
have all day to sit here and talk. For some reason I was sort of bored knowing I wanted to act and direct, to be honest. I started directing pretty young, theater pretty young, but I just kind of fought for it every step of the way, and I was lucky that my parents weren't stage parents in any way, but they were supportive of it being a hobby as long as I did well in school. So it was kind of smart on their part, because it made me extra determined to be good in school, because I wanted to be able to do this on the side. And then as it started to kind of turn into a real job and evolve into more work, I became really fixated on wanting to do the best I could be. So I was trying to find every acting class I could take, and every dance lesson I could take, and every route I could take to try to be better. And I was lucky enough that, you know, I started with agents when I was pretty young. I was doing fashion shows at the Woodfield Mall in and the judges would...
Woodfield Mall, shout out.
Woodfield Mall, it's near Schaumburg, it's great. Very, very big mall. But they would have these back-to-school fashion shows where like 1,000 kids would audition every year, and they'd take 25 kids, and I was one of the 25 for like 6 years in a row. And then the agents, the people judging were actual agents. So that's how I got my first agent, was they were judging the fashion shows. And so that turned into doing commercials, doing Intersection when I was 13, and so it just kind of, you know, grew from there. And that's the shortest version of a long story I could possibly tell.
That's a cool story though, because I can remember.
Good thing I recorded it, because I zoned out.
I think I was like 11 or 12, and it was like doing that first theater piece and getting through that audition process.
Who's that?
Beverly Elliott.
Who's that?
All right, Jennifer, you've done it. You've crushed it. You've killed it. Burbank, thanks you.
I think Burbank.
Great Q&A. Jennifer Morrison.
I'm gonna sing you a hero song.